So we've been journeying through the Easter season, and at the beginning of that Easter season, during the Triduum, we celebrated Holy Thursday. Hopefully many of us or all of us were there to experience what a beautiful Mass that is. My personal favorite, actually, probably out of the whole year in terms of the liturgy. It's so beautiful. One of the primary things that we focus on Holy Thursday, of course, that's the night of the Last Supper, and Jesus knows that the cross is coming, and he has many trials in front of him, and he's about to do what he came to do. So he has to do something very important, and that is to institute the priesthood, and that's exactly what he does. Now we pick up here today, in today's gospel, a little bit after that fact, well, actually not after it, before it. It's after the fact that he lets Judas go. So before he institutes the priesthood and we get to the very powerful, important things, he lets the one that doesn't quite fit into the program be on his way and go to do the evil deed that he plans on doing. And then he talks to the remaining apostles, the first priests, the first bishops, brothers and sisters. He talks to them about the all-important subject of love. He tells them, I have loved you. He's like, now I tell you to love one another as I have loved you. Basically, do what you've seen me do. And it's not just any love. We know, and it was no different back then. Love can cover a multitude of things, if you will. We can love all sorts of different things, but there are different types of love, are there not? We're talking now about agape love. We're talking about the love that makes you pour out everything you have, everything you are, for the sake of somebody else, anybody else for that matter. And this was the beautiful lesson that Jesus was trying to show his apostles at that point in time. And he knew if there was going to be a church, if Christ was to continue to be present in this world, if he was truly not going to leave us orphans as he promised, he knew that agape love would have to be learned and practiced by these future leaders of the church and by all of us in addition to that. And we see that for 2,000 some years, the priesthood has been a magnificent example of the pouring out of oneself completely for someone else. And what an example they had, because did Jesus not pour himself out completely? He taught them to love, all right. He walked around the countryside and he healed people that needed healing. He fed people that needed fed. He restored people to society that had been left on the fringes. He raised people from the dead. And then when it was all said and done, for each and every one of us who would ever be and ever had been, he allowed himself to be nailed to the cross, to suffer mightily and to die, to truly pour himself out completely for his beloved human beings, leaving us the example of all examples. And while we're all called to it, who comes closer to that example in our lives than the priests that we encounter, brothers and sisters? We're so blessed in the Catholic Church to have the priesthood. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. Not only can we not experience most of the sacraments without a priest, and particularly the key central sacrament of the bread and the wine turning into the body and blood of Christ. We need our priests for that, very important. But they do so many other things for us. They're there for so many things. They're truly our Father on so many levels. When we call them Father, it has such rich, deep, beautiful meaning. Our priests are beloved, they are sacred, holy, and we hold them close to our heart. And I would be remiss if I'm talking about the priesthood and not bringing up one priest in particular on this weekend, and I can bring him up right now because he's not here, which is great. He's not at this Mass, so I'm going to go for it. But we just have to think about Father Walsh a little bit today as we remember and celebrate his 40th anniversary as the pastor of St. Margaret Mary. Many of you in this room have been here for the whole ride. I was blessed to walk into St. Margaret Mary, not a Catholic. I'm a convert, as I've mentioned a number of times. But I remember that it's been 20 years for me now that Father Walsh has been in the life of myself and my family. And I remember the very first time I met him. We were in RCIA, myself and my brothers and sisters who are all now Catholics and still part of St. Margaret Mary, thank goodness. But we were taking our tour of the church. That was the assignment for the RCIA class that night, and We were going around looking at everything, and it was very fascinating for me, who had really never spent much time at all in a Catholic church. So I was learning a lot that night, and then we were in the chapel. The chapel was dark, and it must have been about time that they lock up the doors, and in came Father Walsh, who I didn't even know who he was at that time, just a quiet, humble man, and immediately made you feel great about yourself. And that was it. We just introduced ourselves to him, and he asked us a couple of questions and made us all feel at ease, made us all laugh. And I walked away that night knowing that I had met somebody special. And we all have a story to tell about Father Walsh. Almost each and every one of us do, and if we don't yet, we will. But he has been there for so many of us. I can only speak to my personal experience, but he baptized me. He confirmed me. He gave me my first communion. Later on, he married my wife and I in the church. Later on, he baptized my daughter and gave her first sacraments. He has been there for me and my family through great times, victories, celebrations, and the very darkest times. He walks with us, it lifts us up, and he pours himself out completely. And that's just my story. There are thousands and thousands of them just like it and much better. But this is what he does. And he like many of our priests, left his home and came over and has been pouring himself out as Christ did ever since. And we are so truly grateful for him. And we're grateful for all of our priests. But priests are not the only ones called to this agape love, brothers and sisters, where we pour ourselves out completely. That Father Walsh doesn't like accolades, and he doesn't like congratulations and pats on the back and so forth. He's so humble. But what he does want to see, and what all of our priests want to see, is us answer that call and follow that example of pouring ourselves out. We don't have to be a priest to do that. We start with our family. We must pour ourselves out completely to those who we love and live under the same roof with us. But it doesn't end there. We must pour ourselves out completely to our friends and neighbors, to our brothers and sisters in the church. We must pour ourselves out completely to those who it is the very hardest to do so, who we might not truly think in our hearts deserve it, or it's a real challenge for us in one way or another. We must pour ourselves out completely and follow that example. So today, and at the noon Mass, we're going to honor Father Walsh, and there will be a reception afterward. All are invited if you'd like to stop by and shake his hand. But the best way we can honor him, the best way we can honor all of our priests, is to try to follow that example, to answer that call. What are we called to? We might not have to leave America and go to another country to function as a priest. We might not have to do some of the radical things that the priests that we know do, but we're all called to something, brothers and sisters, and nobody can do that something. Nobody can do that thing that we're being called to pour ourselves out for as well as us, because God has us in mind for it. So the idea, if we want to honor Father Walsh and we want to honor the priesthood and this beautiful tradition of love that Jesus instituted way back with the apostles, if we want to do that, we will discern, we will pray, and we will find that thing that God is calling us to. And then we will pour ourselves out completely and truly love those around us as he loved us. Amen.